Rapporteur on Violence Against Women and Girls has reported that Southern Africa and the Pacific are the epicenter of violence against women and girls. So what we see in this Southern African region is that, unfortunately, communities somehow seem to have normalized violence against women. So violence against women is happening in homes, it's happening in public spaces. Children are abused, as the data that we're hearing from here in terms of murder cases and the cases of femicide are not only unique to South Africa. We're hearing about these in Botswana, we're hearing about these in different countries across the region. But the one thing that we are seeing growing, a growing trend, is trafficking of women. Across Southern Africa, between Southern African countries, and as a route towards the Middle East. So there's multiple forms of violence against women that are occurring. And these femicide incidences that we have now are really just data that is telling us that this epidemic has reached pandemic proportions.
But the brutality that goes with all these abuse, what is your view?
It's very worrying because what we see, though, unfortunately, is that the brutality seems to be linked to different issues. The one is that organized crime seems to be on the rise, and the link between organized crime and the violation of young girls, kidnapping of young girls, seems to be connected. So there seems to be behind the brutality is actual money, it's movement of money. So this is one of the trends that we're seeing that is very unique and that we have not perhaps invested enough of our energy around, and we're seeing this in our cities, in Sunnyside and Hillbrow, in South Africa, and it's something that we need to track very closely. We're seeing that this brutality is something that happens towards girls, but it seems to be a culture that, in public spaces, we have data, for instance, that in South Africa, 69% of all women who use public transport are violated at least once during their transit times. So it's become a normal practice, and communities are not responding. So, and what I mean by that is that girls will be violated in an apartment building. You will hear screams and cries out for help, and nobody responds. Whether it's fear of the violation that's going to come in general, whether it's about the rape case or it's just about violence in general in the community, there doesn't seem to be urgent response. And so we at the UN are very, very concerned about this and have been talking repeatedly with the police forces and with the systems that are really criminal justice system. How do we respond in a way that is really punitive? Because it appears really that despite the cases and the brutality that you're talking about, the courts are not yet taking really decisive and really strong punitive action.
You spoke about money. Money playing a role in which way?
Well, the one thing we know is that many young girls are being caught really lured into networks of prostitution, of almost mafia-style organized crime, and this is happening really because of transaction. You know, the uniqueness about, say, South Africa and many Southern African countries is that our poverty is very strongly linked to income. In other countries, people eat from the soil, and so even if there's poverty, they're able to eat. In this country, income poverty is a very unique feature. And what that means is that young girls in particular who need money to survive, whether it's for their cell phones or it's for actual just survival, transaction and money is a very, very, very big attraction. And so men use that transactional desire to lure girls into a trap. But what the girls are unaware of is that they get into a relationship that seems innocent, and little do they know that they're actually getting into a web that is organized crime. So it's movement of money, there's talk about forex trading, there's talk about pimps, so there's an entire network of organized crime that links young girls' attraction to some money to actually in getting them involved in violations, drugs, alcohol abuse. It's a very, very, very tight network. And I don't know that the police force, as much as they make efforts and there's initiatives to try to respond to this, are able to respond decisively.